So let's get into something so amazing, right? When God wants to give you a warning, He will be so direct sometimes. When He is trying to protect you, He will show you straight up what He is trying to say. And this is how direct He can be. So this is a direct communication between me and God. He was warning me about something happening, something transpiring in my life that He didn't want me to fall into because I had already fell into it when I was a teenager, right? And it was a trap that I fell into, right? So let's read the synopsis, right? 16-year-old Zariah, my name is Mezariah, heartbroken and furious after a breakup, she blames on her protective mother Renee, Monique, storms out and runs away from home. She accepts a ride from blank Eldest Hodge, a longtime family friend with a comforting smile but dark secrets. When his true nature is revealed, Zariah is thrust into a nightmare where every decision could mean life or death. As Zariah uses her wits and courage to stay alive, Renee, consumed by guilt and fear, refuses to give up the search, uncovering secrets and lies that will change both their lives forever. So let's get into something really interesting, right? So let's get into the name Zariah, 16-year-old Zariah. My name is Mezariah. What are the odds, right? And Zariah seems to not have a good relationship with her mother. I didn't have a good relationship with my mother at that age, and she looked at her as overprotective, and they got into a big argument. I used to get in arguments with my mother, and she stormed out, right? It says she stormed out, and then I stormed out of I clocked out in a relationship with my mother at this age, around 16, 17. I spiritually clocked out. I stormed out. And I ran into somebody looking for love, looking for people that I could trust with my heart, and not realizing that I ran into a trap, just like she ran into a trap with somebody that she thought she could trust, which is a family friend. The name that I drew over in red right here is the exact name of the person that I used to be friends with. Do you really think this is a coincidence? Like I said, this is not a coincidence. This is direct communication between you and the Most High. The things that you see throughout your day, He's always talking. God is very talkative. He will tell you things all day, especially when He wants to warn you about something very important so you won't fall into the trap. This is why there's no excuses most of the time about whatever you are seeing, whatever God is showing you. He's trying to be as direct as possible. This person that I'm reading right here says that he has dark secrets. The person that I knew that I ran into after I spiritually departed from my mother had dark secrets that I learned about later on in life. So God showed me this because He didn't want me to make the same mistake again. And He showed me so clearly with the name, and He showed me the name of the friend that I once was friends with, and then He showed me similar things that took place and transpired when this happened to me. So this is direct communication. So let's get into the last part, right? It says the mother was consumed by guilt and fear and refuses to give up the search, uncovering secrets and lies that will change both their lives forever. So let's get into something important. When you are departing from a parent or anybody, right? You don't go looking for other people to trust. And God shows that to me so much. You don't go running into other people because you'll just run into familiar spirits. You'll just run into familiar people with the same personality. Because that's exactly what happened to me when I was young. Because I didn't have a great relationship with my mother, I ran into other people looking for love in the wrong places. A lot of our parents, they have caused us to run into curses, and we take responsibility to some degree. But when a parent is controlling, when a parent is bitter, broken, or all of these other things, you will cause your child to run into someone else, and it will change the trajectory of their life. When they don't have a good foundation, they don't have understanding of life, or I'll say of people, and discerning of different people, or how they should be treated, or how they should love themselves. And that is quite literally what happened to me when I was younger. Because of the relationship that I had with my parent, it caused me to find someone else to try to love me, not knowing that this person was even 10 times worse, secretly, covertly. And when I tell y'all, y'all don't be knowing what people go through. We go through a lot of things behind the scenes, all of us, and every last one of us have our own life, and we are going through dark things. We have gone through dark things. That's why nobody could ever make me feel bad for being blessed or having the things that, you know what I mean, or being blessed by God, because God knows our stories. He knows what we've gone through, what we had to deal with, and what we had to climb out of. We have our own testimony, and we can never judge anybody for, speaking on their story, speaking on anything that they've gone through, because a lot of people will crack under pressure. And I want to make it clear that this is not even a real movie. I forgot the actual name of the movie, but this was like a fake movie poster. You know how people be creating fan stuff and all of that? This is fake. So God will create something fake just for the moment, just so you can catch a sign. This is real time communication. I had to share this with y'all. And I saw this sign probably a few months ago, but I feel like I had to share it with y'all because this is insane to me. I still think about this, like how direct and how much God loves His children when He wants us to be careful of a certain situation.
Let me tell you about a covert narcissist.
Listen, a covert narcissist is the most dangerous type of narcissist ever. They are the most sneaky, weakest, underhanded, passive aggressive type of person that you can ever meet. These people will silently compete with you without you even knowing it. When you find out about these people and know exactly who they are to you, they have the power and potential to make you look crazy when you tell your story. Because the word covert means hidden. These people have the power and potential to destroy everything in your life without anybody knowing, including you. And I actually have a couple stories if you guys want to hear about my incidents with a covert narcissist. So like my video and follow if you want to hear examples or hear stories. Anyway, the reason why I say these people are so wicked and so sinister is because in order for you to get out of this trap, most people that are victims of covert narcissists have to have a supernatural experience with the Most High. It goes that deep. I remember praying and fasting for God to give me a new heart and to renew my mind and to do so many things in my life, but He wouldn't give it to me because I still had this person in my life. I mean, for years, I saw my life go up and down, up and down, up and down, and I could not figure out why. These people are literally sent from the kingdom of darkness to your life as a curse for your disobedience. These people will play on your confidence. They will have you double-minded. They will have you questioning everything. They will have you questioning your self-esteem and everything around you. You will literally be confused all the time. They will watch you like a hawk, find out what your insecurities are, and then play on them all day. You could be joking with this person, and then they'll say something that may go a little too far, and then you ask them, well, do you really believe that? Or do you really think that? Or do you really feel that way? And they'll be like, no, not really. I was just joking. But then you realize that pattern continues. Because while they're watching you, they see something in you that they know that you can't see in your own self. And they take advantage of that. They will also convince themselves that you are competing with them as well. They convince themselves that you need them to look good. They make up in their own minds that you are beneath them. Whoever is watching this, that person wants your life more than you want your own. And what does it all boil down to? Envy. What does God say about envy? He says you can stand against anger and strife, but you cannot stand against envy. Envy is rotten to the core, rotten to the bone. You're not crazy. You're not sensitive. You're in tune with God. So you better be careful because your life can be given to your oppressor. Like and comment if you resonate with this video.
This is an example of a destiny exchange between you and the narcissist.
So when I had sex with a man for the very first time, my destiny began to exchange with my best friend. Now I want to tell y'all, I was always attracted to men since I was very, very young. I was always very sexual, and I was very, very curious about being in some type of relationship with another guy. However, I grew up very religious, and I grew up as Jehovah's Witness, and anybody that grows up under the JWO knows that homosexuality is a no-go. Not only with religious people, but just God in general, it's a no-go for him. However, I still wanted to please God, and I still wanted to make some type of vow to him that I would never do that, because I know growing up religious or any religion under God, we know that that sin is a great sin. But I had almost given up because the spirit of homosexuality is so strong. So at the age of 17, I was tired of fighting this spirit. I wanted to satisfy my flesh. So this is the same time that my narcissistic friend comes into my life. Now, I want y'all to understand, I'm not blaming him for making the decision of having sex. However, when you have people in your life, their spirits, their demons can come and latch onto you. I was way more innocent back then. I was curious about doing something with a man. It felt like a thrill. And I'm speaking about this as if the person that I had sex with was a man. He was the same age as me. But anyway, I had sex with that guy. And I remember distinctively that same year, my life started crumbling. It started crumbling. That's when the Destiny Exchange began. I remember going to college and having complete breakdowns. A year later, I drop out of college. A couple years later, he enrolls in college. I become more aggressive with people. He becomes a little bit more softer. Or at least he tried to be softer. He became accustomed to the finer things of life. I became accustomed to losing everything. Borrowing $20 here, borrowing $40 there. It was just like I couldn't contain my finances. Like I said in my other video, he bought a house. I was still living at my mother's house. Prior to him having 2 or 3 cars for himself, I crashed and totaled both of my cars separately. Oh, this nigga was racking up on the blessings. But I say all of that to say this. When I sinned against God the way that I did, he allowed me to go through what I went through for a reason. That's why on my very first video, I said that we can be cursed for our disobedience. Because I knew that I wasn't supposed to do it, but I did it because I let my flesh come in between me and God. Simple as that. Love you guys.
So you watch that video and then you realize and say to yourself that we all have a starting point of a destiny swap. It all starts somewhere. And, so for some of us, we have different starting points. We have numerous starting points of how things transpired. And some of them were a pre-introduction into that swap. And some of those points were the beginning of the end of that. Well, I wouldn't say the beginning of the end, but more so the beginning of that swap. What's really made you go into that trajectory. And the hard pill to swallow is that a lot of the times it's because of the people that raised us. A lot of the times that we go into these journeys, into these hard times, is because of the people that had authority over us. And that it sucks to say that, it hurts to say that, because you all your life you go through these things and you don't even realize that sometimes it's the people that we say we love, and these are the people that are causing us to be led astray, to be taken advantage of, and to be taught the wrong things, and then we go down this hole that some people probably can never get out of. And that is the unfortunate thing. That is the most unfortunate thing, because some people do not learn the things that we are supposed to learn because of the people that raised us. And some of us grew up in single parent households, some of us grew up in 2-parent households. And we normalize toxicity to the point where in our community we joke about it, and we know that it is more traumatizing than we really think, because we wouldn't have the mindsets that we have. We wouldn't be dealing with certain things. And this video is for all people. It's not just for black people. Israel, the real Israel, if you know, you know. But, I know anybody can resonate with what I'm talking about, but I can only speak for the patterns that I see in my own community. A lot of us can have toxic parents because of the trauma that they have endured, and they just pass it on. But as a parent, it is so important to heal when you are bringing a child into the world, when you are being deemed as a parent, and you are being given the authority over a human, then you have to truly nurture that person. And don't get me wrong, I'm not speaking necessarily for myself. I was nurtured to the best that way that I could be nurtured. But the brokenness of a parent led me down to a path that I didn't want to go on. And I'm actually glad that it happened now that I can look back on it and seeing how everything works together. But a parent should never be the cause of a child's downfall. A parent should never be the reason why your child takes all these twists and turns. That's for the outside world. That's not for the parents to do. And some of parents don't really understand how deep these things go. Some parents don't understand what they are causing because of their own brokenness. They're so used to operating in brokenness that they don't even realize that this brokenness, this toxicity, this misery can cause you to stagnate yourself. And that is learned behavior, to tell someone to just deal with how they are, and that they don't have to change anything about themselves, and that they are who they are. That's what a lot of parents tell us. That's what a lot of parents have told us as we were growing up, and that we should just deal with it, and we should just deal with how they do things. And it's not right. It's not okay, because what I just showed you in that video, that is what happens. And that was a prime example how real God speaks. That's the things that I showed you in that video. That's not a coincidence. You don't get direct communication like that if God is not trying to warn you about something. You see, like that's you can't make that up. That's real life, a real life sign that God wants you to know, that God wants you to see, so you won't fall into the same trap. And we have fell into that trap before, and we learned our lesson. We realized just recently that this was the reason why we fell, because of our parents, because of maybe one parent or another family member. And it's a vicious cycle that so many of us are in, that we fall into and we can't get out of, because we are so fixated on taking the accountability. But we should always take the accountability. That should be the number one thing. But it's like we have this false humility where we can't just admit that somebody else contributed to this. You see what I'm saying? And that's okay, because the people that have authority or had authority over you don't always get it right. They don't. And that's just the God honest truth. The truth can never be dishonorable. When you say you should honor your mother and father, yes, but the truth can never be dishonorable. So when you telling your story, or you saying anything about what your parents may have done that caused something, that's okay, because that's the truth. The truth can't. Christ is truth. If your parents did something to you when you were younger, why wouldn't you have the right to speak on it? Now, I don't want to come on here and exaggerate anything. Like, I lived this horrible life, and my mother or my father didn't do the things that they did for me as a child. They raised me up to be a great man. You know what I mean? You know, that God used them to raise me in a way that is unique, that it is authentic. But one of my parents did not get it all the way right, and it caused discord, and it caused so much unnecessary warfare in my life. You know what I mean? But looking back on it, we always can look at it in a positive light, because we see the beauty in everything. We see the beauty in every little thing, and that's okay. And even though those things took place, I have already forgiven. But we can't be in the same space right now. We can't be in the same place. We cannot allow ourselves to be tricked by the people that we love. We cannot allow ourselves to be in this state where we get deceived by the people with their emotions. We can't do that because that's look what it caused. Look what their emotions caused us to do. Look what their emotions caused us to how to move, and we made the wrong moves and the wrong decisions, and we ended up with nothing because we ran into another person looking for love through that person. We looked for love through that person, and that's not the route that you want to go. That's not the route that you want to take because you'll regret it. You'll regret it because that it just goes to show you that your mother, your father, your uncle, your aunt, they can only do but so much because they're not God. They don't. If it goes against God of how they're acting or what they're saying or what they're doing, then you don't have to obey those things that go against God. You don't have to put yourself in this predicament where you know that you're going to lose everything because of people that don't know how to use the authority the right way. Because of people that were trusted with that authority, that abused that authority, and they have wrongfully used it. So now they have to learn their lesson on how to actually use authority and how to be humble with their authority. You know, so many of us have gone through these things with our parents, and we are scared to say these things because we don't want to disappoint them. And you're only going to disappoint yourself. It's only going to be a detriment to yourself if you don't realize that sometimes these things happen. Sometimes your parents don't get it right. Sometimes your parents are your enemies. Sometimes your parents are your enemies. You are not worthy if you do not hate your mother or father or brother. That is what it says in the book of Luke. You're not worthy of God. You're not worthy because you have made them your idol. A lot of us want to make our parents or our family proud to the point where we're disobeying God. We're allowing them to get in the way of what we're supposed to do and what we're called to do. And you will ruin your life doing that. You will regret it when you put another human before God, even your mother, even your father. They do not come before God at all. How could they come before God when He created them? He created you in the womb. Your mother didn't give you that DNA to make you look like her. God did. He created that. He crafted you so perfectly to look just like you and your father, or you and your sister, or you and your aunt. That's God. That's the work, the artwork of God. That is not them. So you have to realize that you have your own life. You cannot allow this to happen, to take place in your life again. And it's crazy because that the video that I showed you, God allowed me to see. So when you look at the specifics of a destiny swap, you look and you're able to pinpoint where everything went wrong, and you see how it went from this to that, and it'll start to explain everything. It'll start to show you how one thing led to another, and God allowed me to see in real time with the first video that I showed you about the fake movie and how God used that movie to show me in real time what could happen if I don't pay attention. What could happen again? What could lead me down the road that I had already got off of when I was 17, 18 years old, when the same thing happened to me through the sign that God showed me. So this sign, the sign that God shows you, is proof that you actually did go through these things. This is proof that you have in real time that you actually had to endure something like this. Because how is that sign so connected to your own life?
how are all of these coincidences so um perfectly aligned with your life? You see what I'm saying? So you start to connect the dots and it all starts making sense. And you go down this rabbit hole of everything being spiritual. Everything is intent. Everything has a meaning to it. And you open up this door that you will never close. And it's up to you to know how to master that door. What you let in, what you let out. You know what I mean? So it opens you up to a whole another dimension that God has given you access to, but you have to know how to contain it. You have to know what to do. You have to have a prayer life. You have to know the Bible. You have to know God's word. You have to know how to use it in prayer. You have to know how to use it in warfare. You have to know how to fast to fight these things that have come upon your life. And then you will be granted that access where it's like you know how to maneuver through this new world that God has given you access to. And this is such a needed thing for people, because every day we see people go down a path and they don't understand how they got there. They look back and it's like 50 years, well, I'm not gonna say 50, but 20 years then passed, and they're like, how did this happen? How did I get here? What happened in my life? And it's always trauma. It's always brokenness, either directly or indirectly linked to someone else. It's always your own problems or you being connected to the wrong people. It's always almost the same thing with everybody. We are connected to unhealed people. We are trauma bonding, whether we know it or not, directly or indirectly. We are running into people. When you are running from something, just like I shared with you in my video, I ran spiritually from my mother. And just because you ran from that person, you start to chase something. You start to chase love in the wrong places. When you run from something, you start to chase something, because you're most likely running in fear. So it's a cycle, and you run into the wrong people thinking that they have your best interest, and they do not. They are just people that were opened up to the devil to come into your life and keep you in darkness. This is why you heal, because you have open portals when you don't heal, and you allow the enemy to come through, to come through, to come through. This is the open hole that is in you, the open hole, and then the demons are just coming through one after the other, one after the other, and they have access. And once you close it, you see how close this is. They can't come through. All they can do is hit it and bounce off of it. So when you understand the intentionality of healing, you see the importance of it. You see how real and how beneficial it is to you. It's not just some everyday cliche talk, or things will get better, or all these different sayings that we've come up with, but it's real. The things that we say every day, it's power in them. We just don't realize we have desensitized ourselves to and normalized ourselves to these things, and we haven't put the action behind the things that we hear. We just let it go on by and just lose hope and lose faith. But you have to be intentional, and you have to put action behind what you believe is true, what you believe that you have to do to get out of the trap that you are in. And that's it. I'm out. That's it. That's all. I'll be back with another video. I love you guys. And I know I've been getting a lot of comments. People been getting
saying that they are inspired or saying that they is helping them. And I posted some old TikTok videos, and I forgot how inspirational those videos were. This was at a time that people were really trying to understand, and a lot of us were coming to the understanding of what Destiny Swap was, and they were coming to the understanding of how to get out of it, how to forgive, and how to have balance in their own lives. And they found a liking to my videos on TikTok some years ago, and I had posted it on YouTube, and I think I'm gonna post a few of my TikTok videos on YouTube because I was dropping a lot of gems back then. I was dropping a lot of gems because I was fresh out, and I had just started telling my story, and I had started speaking on this, and I was just really inspired because I didn't want to keep this story to myself. I didn't want to keep these experiences to myself because they're this is vital information that so many of us need to get ahead in life. This is work for the kingdom to help people get out of that trap. And you are freeing your soul when you are freeing yourself from a destiny swap. You are freeing your soul from the pits of hell. Do you not know? This type of content is really important. Don't ever think that it is something that is not needed. This is needed for the kingdom because you are literally fighting for your soul so you can escape the judgments of Yah, so you can escape the fiery pits, so you can escape the lake of fire. God's wrath can be upon you because of you not obeying, you being disobedient, you not hearing him. So this is very important for you, for the souls of many, and we are here to win souls for the kingdom. And like I said, I'm out. I'll be back with another video, guys. Sorry to keep you talking. Sorry to keep talking.